I'm a little bit tired, you know. I want to home.
You're going to rest now. There's already a tweet gone out from you saying, maybe I fight Moses Itauma as well. Is that true?
I don't know. Listen, I don't know because now I want to think what next.
Right? That would, garner him, and get him the experience he needs to compete with a Usyk, right? But right now it's just not the time. I just think it's just too early, okay?
It's just looking at fights to kind of get me into that later round, because I feel like with Usyk, I feel like I've got a better skill set than him, but I feel like towards the later rounds, he'll just outdo me, because I've never been in that sort of fight.
The boxing world just witnessed something absolutely insane, and Oleksandr Usyk's reaction is sending shockwaves through the heavyweight division. 20-year-old Moses Itauma just brutally knocked out Dillian Whyte in under 2 minutes. And now everyone's talking about whether this kid is ready to face the undisputed heavyweight champion. But here's the twist. Usyk himself just broke his silence. And what he said is going to change everything.
I am with him right now. He's speaking with Joseph Parker.
This time I want to rest.
You want to rest?
Yeah, I want to rest.
Holiday. Congratulations, champ. You were absolutely incredible tonight. Did you enjoy that performance?
Yeah, I'm very happy. Listen, I'm very happy. I train hard. 3.5 months. I not look my family, my children. Now I'm a little bit tired, you know. I want to home.
You're going to rest now. There's already a tweet gone out from you saying, maybe I fight Moses Itauma as well. Is that true?
I don't know. Listen, I don't know because now I want to think what next. What next? Who my next opponent? Because now I have time and think about my career and the next fight.
You're loved in Ukraine, but I really do think you are loved by us here as well, and it showed tonight.
Thank you so much. I love UK people because it's a special fans, you know.
And you know, the final thing, people are now going to start talking about you as one of the greatest of all time. Does that mean something to you, to be one of the very greatest fighters and heavyweights of all time?
Thank you so much, bro.
Cheers. Thank you very much.
Picture this. You're Oleksandr Usyk, sitting at home after dominating the heavyweight division for years, and suddenly this 20-year-old knockout artist is calling you out on social media. Most champions would laugh it off, but Usyk's response was completely different. When asked about Moses Itauma's bold challenge, the Ukrainian champion didn't dismiss him outright. Instead, he acknowledged that the young heavyweight definitely has talent. But here's where it gets interesting. Usyk revealed he wants to take a serious break before even thinking about his next opponent. The man looked genuinely tired, telling reporters he just wants to go home to his family after months of intense training without seeing his children. But the most telling part, Usyk said is going to carefully think about whether to face Itauma or choose a completely different opponent. That pause, that consideration, it's not the response of a champion who thinks his challenger is a joke.
Turki Usyk is demanding the Moses Itauma versus Oleksandr Usyk fight. That's the fight that he would like to make happen, as you guys just read in the caption. And let me counterpunch. I mean, that sounds good. You know, I think that Turkey is looking for someone to beat Usyk. And Moses' name is just the next name up, especially in his own personal interest. It's not Joseph Parker. I don't know what's the deal with Parker. I don't know why he doesn't like Parker. I mean, Parker to me is more like a Jon Snow, because I mean, he gets in battles and he gets scrapes and bleeds and abrasions and battle scars, but he ends up victorious at the end of the day, right? So that's what Joseph Parker reminds me of. But I think that it should be in order. It should be in order to fight. I don't think that a guy with 13 fights is or should be awarded that type of fight. Now, if the fight happened, it would be pretty good. Southpaw versus Southpaw, old lion versus, young lion. And I know Moses would jump on the opportunity of getting it, and he may get it. Depends on how bad does Turkey want it, because if Turkey really wants this fight, if he really, really wanted that fight, he's going to offer enough money for Usyk to go in there, because I think it's about Usyk, not Moses. You know what I mean? And also, something else you have to factor in is it's not all about what Turkey wants. It's also, and it should be, about what the sanctioning bodies demand.
But wait, it gets even more dramatic. Social media absolutely exploded after Moses' knockout victory, and the reactions are wild. Anthony Pretty Boy Taylor dropped a bombshell tweet that has everyone talking, claiming that Dillian Whyte took a dive and questioning whether Moses can actually beat Usyk. This wasn't just some random opinion. Taylor's comment sparked a massive debate about whether Itauma's victory was genuine dominance or something else entirely. The boxing community is split down the middle, with some fans calling Taylor's claims ridiculous, while others are questioning what they actually witnessed in that ring.
You must have a view of what level you're at now.
If you want my honest opinion, I think if my skill set, if you're talking about my ring IQ and what I display in the ring, I feel like I am the best in the world, but I haven't displayed the later rounds. That's all what I kind of want to get ticked off. So my next opponent or opponents this year, we're just looking at fights to kind of get me into that later round, because I feel like with Usyk, I feel like I've got a better skill set than him, but I feel like towards the later rounds, he'll just outdo me, because I've never been in that sort of fight.
Meanwhile, the promotional wheels are already spinning at maximum speed. Tyson Usyk, the power broker behind some of boxing's biggest events, has his eyes locked on this potential super fight. He's painting this as the ultimate generational clash, the old lion versus the young lion. Think about the storyline here. Usyk represents everything you want in a seasoned champion. Years of experience, refined technical skills, championship pedigree that's been tested against the absolute best. On the other side, you have Itauma embodying pure youthful ambition, hunger, raw strength, and the kind of fearless attitude that only comes with being 20 years old and feeling invincible. This narrative is already getting fans hyped because it raises the age-old question that makes boxing so compelling. Can youthful energy and raw talent overwhelm wisdom and technical mastery inside those ropes?
Itauma can fight and beat the likes of Oleksandr Usyk, which everybody, His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh, is stating that he would love to make a fight with Usyk and Moses Itauma. That's the fight to be made. Me personally, I think it's too early in his career. At 20 years old, Usyk knows all the tricks of the trade. Usyk is very athletic. Okay, he's a southpaw. He's slick. He knows how to buy time. He knows how to control distance and range. He has an extremely high ring IQ. I think that that's a step too far for Moses Itauma right now, right? But this is what Turkey want to see, and obviously Moses has a puncher's chance. Okay, he has a puncher's chance to land a big punch on Oleksandr Usyk, he's bigger than him. Usyk is 6'3" with a 78-inch arm reach. So Moses is bigger than him, right? And he obviously has a puncher's chance.
But here's where the story takes a controversial turn. Not everyone is buying into the hype, and some serious voices in boxing are pushing back hard. There's a growing counter-argument that Tyson Usyk isn't just looking for the best fight, he's specifically hunting for someone who can beat Usyk, and Moses Itauma just happens to be the most convenient name on his list. Critics are pointing out that this completely overlooks fighters like Joseph Parker, who has been battle-tested against elite competition and deserves his shot. The argument for proper order in boxing matchmaking is getting louder, with many questioning whether a fighter with only 13 professional fights really deserves this kind of massive opportunity. Sure, the Southpaw versus Southpaw matchup would be technically fascinating, but is it fair? The reality is that Turkey's financial influence could absolutely make this fight happen if he wants it badly enough, but the sanctioning bodies have their own demands that can't be ignored.
Oleksandr Usyk, he's bigger than him. Usyk is 6'3" with a 78-inch arm reach. So Moses is bigger than him, right? And he obviously has a puncher's chance. But with that said, I just think that, that's a step too far. There's other names that I could see Moses Itauma fight. Fight the likes of a Joseph Parker, right? Big Zhang, okay? There's names out there that he can fight, right? That would, garner him and get him the experience he needs to compete with a Usyk, right? But right now is just not the time. I just think it's just too early. Okay, I think that we need to allow this young man to grow, right? And then we talk about Usyk. The problem is Usyk is 39, 40 years of age.
Now, let's talk about Moses Itauma's confidence, because this kid is not backing down from anyone. He's been incredibly bold in his claims about having a superior skill set compared to Usyk, and these statements are stirring up serious debate throughout the boxing world. Remember, we're talking about Usyk here, a fighter widely regarded as one of the most complete and technically perfect heavyweights of this era. This is a man known for his incredible movement, razor-sharp combinations, and an almost supernatural ability to adapt to any opponent's style mid-fight. Yet here's 20-year-old Moses, completely unfazed, believing that his unique blend of speed, power, and composure can not only compete with but actually surpass a proven champion like Usyk. The boxing community's reaction is fascinating. Some people are dismissing this as typical young fighter overconfidence, while others see it as a sign of a fearless new generation that refuses to be intimidated by established legends.
We've seen that Ring Magazine have put out a tweet tonight or an Instagram post saying that they've been informed that Turkey wants to see Usyk and Moses next. What do you think about that?
Let's see. He's just had a big fight. I think,
Is he ready for that in your opinion? Just your opinion. Is he ready for?
I think it's one of them fights where it's a win-win. The experience he'd gain from it, the opportunity to really, if Usyk was to box Dillian Whyte, people wouldn't say it would be a one-round job before tonight had happened. And I think, what he'd learn from it, the opportunity. And as much as Moses hasn't been in there with somebody like Usyk hasn't been in there with someone like Moses either.
However, the boxing analysts and experts aren't all jumping on the Moses hype train. Many respected voices in the sport are expressing serious reservations about pushing this young fighter straight into a championship fight with someone of Usyk's caliber. Their argument is rock solid when you think about it. Usyk is a complete master of his craft who has faced every conceivable style and type of opponent throughout his career. He's proven himself against some of the absolute best heavyweights in the world and possesses a level of ring intelligence that can't be taught. It only comes from years of elite-level experience. Compare that to Moses, who, despite his obvious talent, is still at the very beginning of his professional journey. The contrast couldn't be more stark between this seasoned, battle-tested champion and a developing prospect who's still figuring out what he can do at the highest level.
He's going to go out after the fight. So let's say Dillian does get the win. Who do you want to see him with next?
Don't know. If Dillian wins it, I'll be taking out.
And what about Moses? What next to him? Is it Oleksandr Usyk?
Huh?
If Moses gets the win, what next? Is it Oleksandr Usyk or is that too soon?
To leave Usyk alone. Usyk's a beast, man. Different beast. Different beast.
Derek, what next for you? When are we going to see you next in the ring?
Right now, I'm going to go sit down on the ringside and enjoy the fight.
The career development concerns are getting louder, and they make a lot of sense when you break them down. Moses Itauma's most notable victory came against Dillian Whyte. But here's the thing. Whyte was largely inactive and clearly far from his prime when they fought. While Moses' performance was undeniably impressive and the knockout was spectacular, critics argue that one victory against a declining veteran doesn't justify immediately throwing him into the ring with a generational talent like Usyk. The smarter move, according to these voices, would be testing Moses against fighters who are closer to his own age and level of experience. Names like Joseph Parker keep coming up, along with other active contenders who could provide the kind of stepping stone fights that build a career properly. The argument for gradual progression makes sense. Why rush into the ultimate test when there are so many valuable learning experiences available first?
I am with Joseph Parker. Yeah, what did you make of that, Joseph?
Explosive and quick. Faster than a lot of people thought. We thought it was going to be 3-4 rounds, and if it gets past that, it'll be a bit harder fight. But one round, every fighter wants to come out and be explosive and knock out their opponent and go home and chill.
It's silly of me to say, do you want Moses next? Because really, you want Oleksandr Usyk, don't you?
Yeah, I want Usyk next. I know Usyk's deserves his time to relax and chill with his family. When he's ready, I'd love to open up negotiations and see if we can make that fight happen.
Does that extension clause with the sanctioning body give you more hope that it may well happen?
You just don't know. You just don't know what's going to happen. There's an extension to buy more time to an injury, and hopefully, when he does decide to come back, then we can negotiate, and if we can make it happen, it'll be awesome.
Listen, we love you, and you're all about you, and we want you to be a world champion again, and I think you will be. But just say a final word on what we've witnessed tonight in the 20-year-olds who may be the coming force eventually.
Listen, he did a tremendous job. I was just watching it now. I don't really see it properly, but he, power.
The veteran voices in boxing are telling a different story entirely. Derek Chisora, who knows what it's like to face the elite level of the heavyweight division, is advising Moses to stay far away from a Usyk fight at this stage of his career. Chisora's reasoning cuts straight to the heart of smart career management. Moses is still far too young and inexperienced, and chasing after inactive or aging legends isn't the best way to build a lasting career in boxing. Having fought many of the top names in the division himself, Chisora understands the risks that come with rushing into massive fights without adequate preparation. His advice is for Moses to focus on carving his own path by fighting active contenders who are closer to his stage of development. The harsh reality is that facing inactive legends might bring immediate attention and headlines, but it doesn't necessarily provide the kind of valuable experience that creates longevity and sustained success in this brutal sport.
Exclusive for you is that the WBO about a month ago put out that Joe Parker, who's their interim champion, has to challenge against Usyk, and Usyk has to defend against him. He's put a letter into yesterday stating, so I found out today, stating that he's asked him for an extension period because he's injured before being ordered to do anything. But whatever happens, the fact of life is that Joe Parker will either fight as champion if Usyk vacates the title, or he will fight Usyk for the title. So it's exciting times. If Moses were to win, or even if Dillian wins, whoever wins that fight, they're in the one spot. And if the fight doesn't happen with Usyk and Joe, then Joe will have to fight the official #1 contender.
Gosh, so that should be really fascinating, shouldn't it? Thank you for that little bit of exclusive there. So are you just telling us there in that exclusive that Usyk's got an injury at the moment then? That's what he's coping with at the moment?
His camp have written to asked him for a period of time to before they have to defend the title.
Joseph Parker, who has his own stake in this heavyweight title picture, is providing perhaps the most balanced perspective on this entire situation. He acknowledges that a fight between Usyk and Moses is definitely possible, but is emphasizing that everything depends entirely on Usyk's personal timeline and decision-making process. This is a crucial point that sometimes gets lost in all the promotional hype and fan excitement. Usyk has earned the right to decide when and against whom he fights next. His status as the reigning undisputed champion and his proven track record as a battle-tested veteran gives him that level of control over his career. Parker is suggesting that if Usyk is genuinely willing and ready to take on Moses, then serious negotiations will naturally follow. However, he's stopping short of endorsing the idea outright, noting that both camps need to carefully consider all the timing and circumstances involved.
Tonight, you don't seem as impressed or sad?
No, of course impressed. Very impressed, but just a bit sad for Dillian. Like, he shouldn't really have been in there, if I'm honest, but what? You know that. You know that.
Lee, what you've got to say?
That's not what I said first. No. No.
Special kid,
Yeah,
Moses.
of course it is, but I don't think, that was the worst matchup for him with no activity, and I felt like that was always going to happen.
Dillian Whyte's career, that would have looked similar to that stylistically.
He's brilliant. But I found it, knowing Dillian and everything, at 38 years old, I found it quite hard to watch.
I just have to ask, whilst he's there, the Warrington fight, are we going to see that next?
Yeah, we love the fight. I mean, the problem is with Lee Wood, fuck me, I gave him some money. Jesus Christ. And now, obviously, every fight has its value, I always say. And that's a big value fight. It's a great fight for both. Listen, it's the final roll of the dice for both. Do you know what I mean? So for me, I'll be interested to see how it plays out. We're definitely interested in making it happen.
The business side of boxing is never simple. and promoter Frank Warren is expressing exactly the kind of cautious enthusiasm you'd expect from someone who understands how these megafights actually get made. Warren admits that the idea of a Usyk versus Moses showdown is definitely appealing from a commercial standpoint, and given Usyk central role in bringing major boxing events to Saudi Arabia with seemingly unlimited financial backing, serious discussions could absolutely be held if he really wants this fight. But Warren is being realistic about the current situation. Nothing is actually planned or set in stone right now. Making a fight of this magnitude requires input from all the major stakeholders, including Usyk's team, Moses' camp, and the event organizers. Warren's approach shows the pragmatic side of boxing promotion, recognizing that while fans are eager to see young talent challenged against established champions, it's absolutely vital to ensure that the timing and circumstances are right for everyone involved.
It wouldn't surprise me if they put him in a world title fight in 2 fights' time.
Yeah, well, we're going to see what Oleksandr Usyk's been given this extension with the WBO title. Josie Parker obviously is the interim champion. Parker may take another route. He's very well ranked in the WBC as well. You don't know, you know, of all these moving parts. And like you say, the main man, Turki Al-Sheikh, the guy that puts the money up, he will decide what he wants to do there. But if that WBO title becomes vacant, don't be surprised that you do not see Josie Parker fighting for that title, but you see a vacant title going in with Moses Itauma versus Filip Hrgovic. That's the fight I could see for the vacant title.
For all the patience that Moses showed tonight, for all the precision he showed to put Dillian Whyte away, we still don't know what's going to happen when he's in the trenches, do we?
It's always the case, isn't it? You know, whenever you get a fantastic young talent coming through. I remember they said it's about Naz all those years
and Bruno.
ago. Bruno, you know, the list goes on. It's a long one. And there will be somebody somewhere who can take the shots and who will put it on him. And then the questions will be asked, and it's whether or not he's got the answers. There'll be people out there.
Here's where things get really complicated. The sanctioning body politics that casual fans rarely hear about but completely control what fights can actually happen. There's exclusive information coming out about WBO mandatory defense requirements that could change this entire conversation. Joe Parker, as the interim champion, is supposed to challenge Usyk, and the WBO has made it clear that Usyk must defend against him. But plot twist, Usyk has just requested an extension period because he's dealing with an injury, which throws the entire timeline into question. The reality is that Parker will either end up fighting as the full champion if Usyk decides to vacate the title, or he'll face Usyk for the undisputed championship when the Ukrainian is ready to return. This creates a fascinating dynamic where whoever wins a potential Moses fight would immediately jump into the #1 contender spot, but the title picture itself has multiple moving parts that make predicting the future almost impossible.